Yield back.
Gentleman yields back. Chair now recognizes the gentlelady from Maryland, Ms. Elfreth.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you for your service, and thank you for being here today in this candid conversation. I'd like to follow up on some questions started by my colleague from Virginia, Ms. Kiggins, and Ms. Goodlander here. I'm really grateful to be on a committee that it has a bipartisan focus, particularly on shipbuilding. But equally important to shipbuilding in our economy is the workforce that we discussed, but also ship maintenance and repair. Particularly, I don't know if you can do your job if we don't have a thoughtful strategy on repair. So I'd like to focus there. Admiral, you mentioned earlier today about the defense industrial base and how we need to liberate long lead times of supply chains. And I kind of want to dig into this as we're also talking about acquisition reform here that's much needed. Can you walk us through how you are advising Big Navy to better balance the need to have a robust investment stateside in our domestic shipyards while also ensuring that our ships can be maintained in a potentially contested environment in Indo-PACOM?
Congresswoman, good morning. I think there are 4 drivers to shipyards not meeting rate, and it is new unpredicted work. It's having to rework systems. It is the workforce efficiency and the availability of on-hand supplies. And we have to get better and faster, more data-centric, use AI tools in order to anticipate problems and to do the data analytics to get better. Number 2, we need a steady funding flow so the downstream suppliers can lead the long lead times. We need a diversification of the downstream suppliers, particularly take advantage of the promise of AI-enabled additive manufacturing. And I've gone to places in Torrance, California, where I've just seen some cutting-edge stuff, and we have to quickly certify those systems in order to move faster. So steady funding, database orientation to fixing our problems in those 4 fields, and diversifying our downrange supply chain and getting faster, getting simpler at the technical warrant holders in order to get to that.
That's very helpful. I want to talk about pre-positioning of equipment, particularly again since you are far away from most of any shipyard domestically adjacent. So it's my understanding that of late, the military has done a better job or made progress on pre-positioning of equipment in parts at bases and depots in your region, but across the world. But just yesterday, and I don't mean to catch you off guard, I would just love your genuine feedback here, the Army issued a stop work order on efforts to maintain these pre-positioned stocks, the hard-to-get supplies for various reasons here. How critical is your ability to have this pre-positioned equipment to your ability to operate during a conflict, particularly in a high-area denial environment?
Pre-positioning is what gains you leverage on the initial deployment of capability. And so the speed of getting capability there to get that head start on that, everything in the 21st century moves much, much faster. So the more relevant gear that we can get forward, the better. You're likely talking about Army Positioning Stock 3. And on that front, I work closely with the Department on the Army as well about identifying what are the really relevant air, missile, space, maritime capabilities, because the Army does play in the maritime game, that should be pre-positioned. And how are we gaining the authority to position those in places so that we can respond to that change? And so I think it's an ongoing process as we make those calculations. I prefer that it was mission reasons why we didn't versus fiscal reasons. And I work very closely with the services to advocate that the only reason that we don't position something forward is for reasons of mission and not to save a buck, because Indo-PACOM is not the place to go for your savings.
Right. And also preparedness will ultimately save us money down the road.
Save us money, lives, capability, people, and time.
Thank you.
In that order.
Thank you. With my remaining seconds, Mr. No, I want to follow up on my colleague from Hawaii's conversation. I represent the U.S. Naval Academy in Annapolis, which is going to be underwater in a matter of decades. Now, thankfully, the Navy is preparing for that, but I also would be remiss if I did not urge this administration to take seriously the rising tides that are coming, not just for the academy, but across our installations. And with that, Mr. Chair, I yield my time back.